Hey guys, it's Joy and I'm back with another video. Anyway, so this video is going to be a little different than usual. I have been, as I said, cleaning out games and that's why I started explaining. And I have this thing called Chat Pack Stories. And then I have this game called Heart to Heart, the Conversation Cards, 3rd edition. And so I pulled out some cards that I thought I could answer, and so I'll probably break this into a few videos, but these are ones that I have stories that I might share. So if you guys enjoy this first video, let me know, and I will just comment down below or give this a thumbs up. And if you guys enjoy it, I'll try to make more of these videos down the road. But I thought this was a good time to do it. So I will answer these questions the best I can, and their stories on these. So we're going to start with the chat pack. So the first one is, got a story to share about a movie you love so much that you watch it over and over again. Okay, so I have a couple movies that, I have like a bunch of movies that I can watch over and over and over and over again. But one of them, I wasn't the only one in my house that loved this movie so much. When Cinderella Story with Hilary Duff came out in the theaters, I was working at the time, and so I took my mom to it, and we both loved it so much we went again. And we loved it so much we went again. I think we've seen it 4 times in theater, and then bought it, and we watched it every night for I don't know how many weeks. Every night we watched that movie before we watched anything else. So, like, we watched that movie a ton, and we can almost quote it word for word. Mom and I both can, and my mom doesn't have much memory left, but my mom can quote line for line that movie almost exactly. And then for me, there's 2 other movies that I really love, and one of them was Mighty Ducks. When I first got the Mighty Ducks DVD, it was VHS back then, my friend had convinced me it was a good movie, so we bought it second-handed, and we watched it, and every night for a couple months, I think, I watched that movie. Every night. So Mighty Ducks has always been one of my favorites. And then my go-to for when I'm not feeling well is Santa Claus 1, 2, or 3 with Tim Allen. 3 is the best, in my opinion, and not the movie itself. The first one, I think, or the second one, I like better. But the third one, what I love about it is it's, on my copy, it's fast play. So it repeats the video automatically over and over and over and over again all night long. So that when I'm asleep, I don't have to worry about restarting it. So if I wake up and I'm not feeling well, I can fall right back to sleep usually. So when I'm having a rough night, or I need to get sleep, or I'm just sick, that's the movie I put on. So that is my go-to movies, and there's my reasonings. Okay, got a story to share about a really bad sunburn. I sunburn bad. I don't tan. I never tan. I go straight to sunburn. And the worst one I ever got, I had never been home alone in my life until I was in college. It was before I started college. It was the year after graduating from high school. My mom and dad were going out of town for a week on a trip, and I didn't want to go. So I asked if my best friend could stay with me. And they said, yeah. So my best friend stayed at my house. We were I think we slept a couple nights someplace, either at her parents' house or at the house she was babysitting for. And then the rest of the time we were here. But anyway, so we one night went to Walmart and bought this kiddie pool that had the sprinkler in the middle and was a whale in the middle. And we got that for sitting around in my yard, just chilling out after, because it was the middle of summer. And it was really hot. And so we were in the shade when we were here and everything. So, like, Friday, I think it was, we had to babysit these kids that she took care of. And so we took the pool there. She asked me if it was okay, because I actually paid for the pool. And I'm like, yeah, that sounds fun. We'll take it. So we took it, and we set it up, and we were playing all day, in and out, mostly outside playing in the pool with the kids. And she put it in the sun. And we got home that night, and I started itching. And I'm like, why am I so itchy? And I goes to the bathroom, and I realized I am head to toe sunburned. And my mom and dad weren't due home till like Saturday or Sunday. So this was like, I think it was Friday night, and you guys got home Saturday. We didn't have any aloe or anything in the house. Not even my Noxzema that I normally put on. I don't think I even had any of that in the house. So Mom and Dad got home, and luckily they had Solacane. Wasn't it Solacane? Mm-hmm. Which is a spray that you can put on sunburns. They had some of that in the camper because my dad fishes and would fish, and he would be, out on the boat and sometimes get sunburned. Very unlikely because my dad was a farm boy. He had grown up. He was now tan. He was past the sunburn stage. So, Mom sprayed me down real good and sprayed my friend down real good. And then we got some Noxzema and stuff. It took, I think, a week before I could even be comfortable. I was constantly complaining I was overheating. I think I got a pretty bad burn. I don't know, but what I should have probably went to the hospital. It was that bad.
It was almost that bad.
It was almost to the point I should have went to the hospital, but I never have gotten to the point where I had to go to the hospital. I burned. It hurts. And
her mother was a nurse or something.
Yeah, her mom was a nurse. Her mom checked her over and she says, no, she goes, how bad is yours? She goes, about the same. And she goes, yeah, you girls are fine. Just drink lots of liquid and make sure you're putting some aloe on it and you'll be fine. So, but I was miserable. And at that time, we slept on the enclosed deck, my mom and I did, and that was before we opened that up and made it part of the house. But anyway, took out the sliding glass door there. And we were sleeping out there and had the windows open at night and everything. And it was a hot summer and I was just miserable. I could hardly sleep at night. Because I had to sleep on my stomach and I'm used to sleeping on my side or my back. And every time I'd roll the wrong way, I would moan. And my mom's like, are you okay? No, I'm in pain. She's like, you rolled on your back again, didn't you? Yes. So my mom was keeping me clean, with the aloe and that. But yeah, that's the worst I've ever had, I think. I've had some pretty bad sunburns, but that's the one that I will never forget. That was pretty bad. Okay, maybe we'll do one more story, guys. Let's see. Got a story to share about a reoccurring dream. I have quite a few reoccurring dreams, but the one that is always in my mind, at the back of my mind, is I used to not drive hardly at all. From the time I was 16, well, I got my permit and everything, through to 37, 38, somewhere in there. The year after I left camp, about a year or two after I left camp, I started driving. So I was in my late 30s. So I didn't do a lot of driving. But I would have a dream almost every night that I was driving. And it was in some big city with lots of curves and a very confusing place, tall buildings and bridges and all sorts of stuff. And I was always driving. And sometimes I'd be driving from the driver's seat, but a lot of times I was driving from the passenger seat with a laptop on my lap. This dream has happened many a times. And I am crazy speeding. I have to be doing over 100 in these dreams. And I am speeding out of control. And I'm trying to stop. I'm trying to use the brake. I'm trying to do everything I can to stop my car. And I almost always veer off into a ditch or something. I wake up before I find out if I live or die. But yeah, that is a creepy dream. And it's a reoccurring dream that keeps happening. And when I've looked up the meaning, it's something like you feel like your life is out of control. And usually that's what's going on at that point. I feel like I have no control. I haven't had that dream in a while, though. I have to say, I don't think I've had it since my dad passed. So maybe I'm starting to feel like my life's back in control.
Probably.
Okay. Okay, this is a good one. Got a story to share about a graduation day. Yes. I didn't graduate from high school with my class. I did graduate 8th grade with my class, but I didn't graduate senior year with my class because I was one credit short and I graduated a month after my class. But then I graduated with my associate's degree in 2001, and then in 2004 or 2005, I graduated again with a certificate. This time, I graduated with my mom. I had convinced my mom to take this program with me. And we took every class together. She had to retake one that I didn't have to retake. So she had to do one class by herself. And we did everything together. We graduated together. We were doing our internship together, but we graduated. But on graduation day, we had to stop at... It's not the Hy-Vee we shop at now. It was the other Hy-Vee. The other Moline Hy-Vee we shopped used to shop at. Anyway, we had to stop there on the way to was the Mark, I think, at the time, or the iWireless, or what is it now? I don't know. This thing has had so many names. It was originally the Mark. Anyway, we had, which was where the graduation ceremony was being held. And my dad runs in, comes back out, and gives Mom and I each a corsage. And if you know anything about what we did for flowers for my dad's funeral, you would know that we had put 3 pink carnations and 1 red rose in the flower arrangement because it was important to me, because it was a symbol of what had happened. When we graduated, my mom got 3 pink carnations and I got 1 red rose. Everybody attacked my dad, the ladies at my work, after they found this out. Kind of attacked my dad without attacking him. They kind of said, "Why didn't your dad give her the rose and give you the carnations? They're, roses are more expensive." And I says, "My dad gave my mom her favorite flower and gave me my favorite flower." And they're like, "Oh my God, he's the nicest man in the world. He remembered your favorite flower." Well, my dad didn't remember my favorite flower, but he knew my mom's. He always knew my mom's. If he bought Mom flowers, it was almost always carnations. But he had to ask my mom what my favorite flower was. So Mom kind of knew we were getting corsages in advance because he had to spoil it so he could get mine. But yeah, so that was my graduation. Okay, got a story to share about receiving news so exciting you thought you would burst. Yes, it's kind of a funny story for me because I was at work, and this is back when I worked for a college. And I had been in a really bad place at that time. I was close to ending my life and everything. And, no, that's not the funny part. I'm telling you that right up front. My job was getting me down really bad. And I had started applying for summer camps because my job had been on the line so many times. People could have bumped me and I would have been out of a job. I could have bumped other people, but I'm not that kind of person. So I had also learned right about that time that one of my allies at work was retiring the next month. And one of my other ones had retired in December. And then my job had actually almost been bumped in November of the year before. So in that May, I started looking for jobs. And I had been helping train this one woman that had taken the job I had applied for like a couple years before. So I was kind of not in a very good place. I was not a happy person. I was not, in a good situation. Well, anyway, so I started applying to summer camps and did interviews and everything. And I was waiting to hear back from, there was 3 camps I had interviewed with, and I had an interview with another one scheduled for like that night. And I was trying to find out if I had gotten all my paperwork into this one camp because I really wanted to work at that camp. And I had gotten email the week before, and I was supposed to let this other camp know whether I was taking it or not. And I had debated it, and I wasn't sure, and then I finally decided I was not taking it. And so I went and called that camp, but they weren't available. And I'm like, oh no, this is a sign. I go back up to my desk, and I open my email, just to quickly check it, and there was an email from the camp I wanted, and I had gotten the job. And I was almost screamed, but I squealed, and I happened to have a coworker come up beside me, and I squealed, and she goes, "Did I hurt you?" And I'm like, "No, what?" And she's like, "Well, you just squealed. I thought maybe I touched you or something, or scared you or something." I'm like, no, I just found out I got the job. And I wanted to tell my mom first, but unfortunately, I ended up telling my coworker. And he goes, "Can you watch the desk for a minute? I need to go tell my mom." And she's like, "Yeah." So I did, and yeah. It was like the best news I'd gotten, and it was like really cool. I'm sure there are other times that were better news I've gotten or great stuff that's happened to me, but that one sticks out in my mind as one of the times I was like bursting. Like I was telling everybody of how excited I was, and I already had researched this camp. I knew like as much as I could about this camp before I even went. And I ended up working 6 summers at that camp, so it was pretty cool to me. Okay, so some of these stories I may have shared already, but if I haven't, I'm sharing them now. My mom has heard a lot of these stories because my mom hears everything I have to say in life, so she's probably sitting there going, "Oh, this is boring." But anyway, got a story to share about a time when you were utterly and helplessly lost while driving. Okay, this could also be my most embarrassing driving story.
I don't remember that one.
And it pertains to camp.
Oh, now I know.
So my first year at camp, I was 30 years old. So I'm one of the non-traditional staff. I was over the normal staff age. And we had staff that did what was called trips. And they had to go through lifeguard training. Well, this one guy didn't know that was going to be part of the job he had. And so he had to decide if he wanted to go through the training. And he was failing miserably, I guess, at the training for lifeguarding. And so they were willing to work with him and get it so that he could do it. But he just didn't feel it was right. So there was a mutual agreement that he was leaving. And so he had to get a ride to the shuttle. So the boss comes in, and this is the owner of the camp, guys, okay? Comes in, and he's like, tells my boss he's going to have to take in him. He closes the door and talks to her, and then she's like, well, one of the girls could take a, and like two of us were eligible to do the driving of the camp vehicles because we were over 21, but one wasn't. So, like, he comes back out, and he's like, decides to send me. I don't drive much, and they didn't know this at that point. I don't drive much, still at this age, and I was new to the area, so I didn't know the area. And they gave me these instructions. You take him here, and then when you come back, you're going to turn at this road, and you're going to go, the first road on the left, you'll turn in, and then you'll find us. And it's like, okay, great. Sounds easy, right? So the guy, I take him back to the shuttle, which was this hotel. We had to drop him off there, and then he caught the shuttle from there down to this other town, about 3 hours away, and so he could fly out. And so anyway, on the way back, I go, and nobody tells me there's like the lake's name is the same as this road's name. At this point, I didn't realize that, you know, there's a road that has the same name as the lake that I was supposed to wait and go past. And so I turned the next road after the place. And it was on the wrong side of the lake. Well, in a way, I wasn't on the wrong road, but I didn't know this. I didn't know if I kept going, I'd be on the right road. I just would come out at a different, spot. And so I end up freaking out when I realize I'm lost. And I had my cell phone, and this is back when I had a flip phone. I didn't have an actual, cell phone. Way back. And so I'm like, this is back in 2008. And so I'm just kind of pull slightly off the side of the road, and there's a mailbox there. And it's on my blind side, because this eye here has 20/65 vision. As long as I have 2 mirrors, I'm legal to drive. And I don't have to wear my glasses. Because I always do the test without my glasses. Okay. So, I pulls to the side, and I call the camp, and I tell my coworker, I'm lost, and I don't know how to get back. And I told him the name of what I thought I was on. Oh, just a minute. And they named the camp owner's son. He's in the office. I'll ask him to give you directions. Well, the owner's son's a few years older than me. And so I'm like, okay. And so she puts him on, and I'm talking to him, and I'm just kind of nervously going, I think I'm lost, and I think I may have just hit a mailbox. Because I had kind of was trying to turn around, and I nudged the mailbox. I didn't hurt it. Didn't hurt the vehicle. Nothing happened. I get back to camp, and I check the vehicle over, and no scratches, nothing. And so I go back in, I return the keys, get back in the office, I sit down, and I'm just freaking out. And that's before I realized my anxiety was starting to flare again. Because I had been doing really well for a while. Anyway, a little while later, the owner of the camp walks in and goes, oh, Joy, there's a big dent in the car, the vehicle. And I'm like, no, you're kidding. And I call him by name, and he starts laughing. And I'm like, don't do that to me. I honestly thought you were serious. So, yeah, I was hopelessly lost and had to call in and get help. And it turned out to be a nightmare that turned out to be fine. I will say this, they only ever let me drive a camp vehicle one more time after that, and it was a couple of years later, and it was only on campgrounds. But then I was allowed to go 2 miles up the road to the grocery store because we needed some soda in the office because it was the last day of the main camp, and we were like struggling to keep going because we were starting our co-ed camp, and we had to do a lot of paperwork and stuff. So the boss, got it so we could take off for a little bit with the vehicle. And when I come back, he goes, "You mean we trusted her with the van?" Yeah. So he never let me live it down.
You probably wouldn't yet.
Probably not. Okay, guys, so that's some of the fun stories about my life. I hope it helped you understand me a little better. And I will try to do some more of this. If you guys want to see them, let me know. And I'm comment down below your story about any one of those questions I asked. And I answered myself. I'd love to hear your stories as well. And I hope you all have a wonderful day filled with lots of love and laughter. And we'll catch you in the next one. Bye, guys.